to another video. So today I'm excited to start off with this build. So today we're gonna start building this project. So it's gonna be a bit more to the challenging side. As I said initially on the project setup, it will be a challenging website. As you can see, this website is really great and well done. So now let's just start off with the tutorial of building this. And I've had, like I said, I don't have anything done, so you're gonna see all my thought processes to how I'd try and clone the site. Right, so let's start off with the header. So things like this I won't be including because where will I get this asset, right? But then we'll try and get this header and see what we can do with it. So off the bat, my thought process here is I'll need a material UI avatar icon. So let's just go to material UI so that I can get this circle thing right here. So that's off the bat. That's what I'm thinking of the bat, right? So let's go to material, say avatar. So most definitely we shall need to install material UI. So let's just grab that and it's come here. So we need to go to the client, because remember our project set up with the client and then everything in the root directory of the AlgoExpert. That's where the server lies. So we go to the client and then we want to get that, but then remembering that, let's say if we need icons, we shall need to install that as well. So let's get that installed, and that should do. So now we search avatar, and I think this one should be the one that should do. So right here I'm just gonna show you guys going through each and every thought process that I'll try to implement as this build is concerned, even though we'll try and get as much functionality as we would. Right, so I hope you guys, if you guys are liking this series and keen to see this thing work, please like, share, comment and subscribe. Keeps me going and it motivates me to bring more of this build to you guys. Please like, share and subscribe, and let's get started. So if you guys didn't see the project set up, just look at the last video and I'll have that also in the description below. Right, so right now we just want to start React TypeScript component. This will be our header. So let's give it a class name of header, right? So for now let's just say h1 and let's say header, and then we can import that avatar thing, and then we need to take this to the app, right? So now let's remove all this text that we had there, and then let's bring the header, right? So let's bring that header. So my IntelliSense is not working, so let's just manually do this. Header from components, and I want to grab that header. So let's get that there, save that, and then now if we start our application, so that is already done, npm start, and that should give us our project with the header, right? So now I think right now material UI, it's something that we don't need because there's no icons for this header, right? There's no icons. So yeah, and then I guess we can also add this. I think this is part of, okay, so we'll see how we'll do this, guys. So I don't have an idea, but then everything should come into play. How? We'll see along the way, guys. Some things just keep it flowing, don't stress about it. So let's just see that header coming up. Let's just get that done, and then we can make sure that everything is working. So that header is now there, right? So we need to remove the style sheet for app.css, the color, we don't want that there. So preferably I like using this font family, but then because we're building AlgoExpert clone, let me show you a nice trick. There's this font. So here it's using Open Sans, so I can see that Open Sans has been used here, so we can just use that as well. So let's say font family, and then I say open. There's Open Sans there. Here it is. So one of those should work. So yeah, so now that should be it about the app.css. Let's close that. Let's continue with the header. Right, and then we can make a style for header.css, and then we can import it right there. Right, so we'll say import, and then we say we want the style sheet, we want the header.css. So now let's look at AlgoExpert. So yeah, what I'm thinking here, we have for this header thing, right, how I would imagine this is this whole thing wrapping this blue part should be my header. That's how I'm imagining things. I'm not saying this is how it's done, but then we'll have the top and the bottom. So the bottom will be the container having this, and then the top will be the container wrapping around these things. So yeah, there is also a container on its own, and this middle part should be a container on its own, and this one should be a container on its own having the contents that we see. So now let's just try and me code what I am saying. So this is what I'm saying. So I might be wrong, or maybe that's not how the AlgoExpert team did their things, but then this is how we're gonna try and replicate their project. Right, say header bottom. Right, so here in the header bottom we have the top left, and then there's a top center, and then we'll also have a top right. Right, we'll have a top right. So now what do we do here? So we need a logo, right? So because personally I don't have this asset and I don't know where I'll get this asset, I guess maybe this is something that we'll get ourselves. So let's just go to SVG icon. So this I'll just use any, to be honest, because I don't know that asset where I can get that asset. So hopefully we can get something here on SVG icons. There's a bookmarked one that I always use, which is say icons, hectic. There's this other one that I like, guys. It's very good. It gives like proper icons, but then let's just use this one that we're seeing here at the top. Hopefully that also looks good as well. So now let's just get that. So yeah, let's try get maybe a React logo, because that looks somewhat like a React logo. Okay, I'm not getting any React logo. Let's get because it looks similar-ish. So the closest one that I can get is this one. Let's see if we can download that. Yeah, it looks like an atom icon. Yeah, it looks like an atom icon. So let's try get that one. Download free with trial. Let's download. Okay, I don't want subscriptions. Yeah, I guess a download preview. Okay, I don't want to. This thing is giving me things. So let's say atom. I think maybe that will give what I'm looking for. So if I say atom, right, so we are getting something similar-ish. So I think I can get this one. This should be close to what we want a bit, and then we want the SVG and then you want to download the free one. So this is also a good platform to get SVG logos or icons, however you want to say them. So we download that. So now what I want to do is let's go grab that asset and then put it within our project directory, right? Because we want to have access to that. So let's just get that. We go to downloads, and I have that atom right here on my clipboard, and then I go to side project, I go to AlgoExpert clone, I go to client, we go to source, and then we create a new file. Create new files, say images, or let's say asset, and then we pop that in there, right? So now that is said and done, we close that. Let's come in here. So we have the asset folder. So now let's import the logo from, and then we grab assets. We want the atom.svg, and why we getting that error? Because we don't have a declaration type for svgs, right? So now what we can do is we can have an assets.d.ts, and then we want to declare, if I'm not mistaken, declare module, and then we say svg, so the dot, and then we say svg, if I'm not mistaken, dot svg, I think there's a comma there, and then that should be like that. Okay, so I think I might have forgotten how to declare these things. Let's say how to declare images. So this is some debugging part-ish, but the images types, React TypeScript, right? Just forgot down that should be displaying static images. I think this one should be the one, hopefully. To declare module, so there is, okay, where's that answer now? So something like this. So this is what we want. Alright, so this is how the type is structured. But now I want for SVG. There we go. So now that red is gone, right? That's what I wanted. I wanted this is how you declare what we call type for your assets. So remember that it was not working for an SVG, so we had to declare its type. So the same applies for, let's say, JPEG working, or we wanted to have what we call what's this, man? We wanted to have a GIF working, things like that. So this is how we would declare things. So you declare your asset files like that, because it wouldn't know. So we can also give for JPG if we'll be using one. We can give for PNG, and we can use for GIF, right? So this is how we can declare things, making sure that you declare using the name of the folder, which is assets.d.ts. Just forgot the syntax and everything. Right, so now we can close the Stack Overflow. It was helpful. and then we can close this one for a bit. We don't need that. We can close that. We don't need that. Right, so now in the left hand side, right, let's look at AlgoExpert. So we need the logo and the name, and then there's a senior technical interviews, right? That is the left hand side. So how I'm imagining those things is we'll have the left underscore top, which will have the image of the logo, and then this will be the AlgoExpert logo, and then there we have an H3 saying AlgoExpert, and then we have the left bottom that will be saying A is the technical interviews, right? So we'll give that an H5, H4, H5. That will say ACE the technical interviews, right? So that is the left hand side. So now the center, let's look at this. So we have what is AlgoExpert, what is system expert, content, meet the team, and purchase, right? So let's get that done. So let's give this an H4, which says what is AlgoExpert. We'll have this saying what is system expert, and then this saying content, if I'm not mistaken, saying content, and then this saying meet the team, and then finally purchase. This saying meet the team. Hopefully there's no capital letters like this. Let's just write it small for now, and then we'll refix that. And then finally saying purchase, right? That is the center. And then the right, here on the right we have the avatar, right? So I'll just put the avatar for this build. We won't be putting the names and everything, so we'll put the avatar. So the avatar takes in props, that is the source. So for now let's just put in empty because we don't have any image. And then here will be the user profile, right? So that is the avatar. Did I import that? Yeah, I did import that, so I don't know why it's giving me those squigglies and all that, but then yeah, it'll be fine. Yeah, I don't know why it gave that. So now we have the bottom part, so let's wait a bit with the bottom part. We'll get that to work. So let's start with the top part. Let's see if we have what we want. So that should be compiling. So while that is compiling, so we'll be using this color picker because we need to use the colors used in AlgoExpert. So this color picker is very useful. So we pick that color, as you can see now we get that color. So let's just nuke that out, and then we good to go. So now let's come into the app, because no, not on the app. Here on the header, so I want to give this a color. So this whole entire header, we want to give it a background color of that color. Okay, so I'll need to pick that again. So I made a mistake of copying the class header before using the color that I've already had in my clipboard. So yeah, just a silly mistake from me. So we want to give that background color, right? So now let's go to our app. Let's see. So why isn't this? Okay, so module. Oh yeah, so remember within our webpack, so it's failing to handle the, okay, let's just open this webpack. Remember in our webpack we only handle PNG, JPEGs and GIF, but then we never handled SVG, hence our webpack is failing to compile, right? So that's why we never even added the SVG, hence it is failing to compile. So we just needed to add the SVG, and we'll use the file loader. So So hopefully now this should work, and then if it doesn't work, more debugging, guys. So this project basically is how I would do this, preparing for if I were to do a tutorial on that. So now this is successfully compiled. We can see that there's no errors, right? So now let's continue with that. We can close that tab. So I should have just refreshed that one. So but then now let's just see how we're looking. Obviously this should be looking bad, but then it's a start. And if you guys want me to add, for now I won't be adding such a responsiveness and everything, because it would then be hectic. This tutorial will be a 50-hour long tutorial, or maybe 50 tutorials and everything, but then that will be nice for you to add on as if, but then I'll only be focusing on the desktop view of this application, because normally if I were to build applications, it is always mobile first. Alright, so we're having that black icon and everything, so now that is fine. That is not a problem. We can clean up this thing, not a problem. So now our webpack is working just nicely with SVGs. So now what do we want to do now is we come to the source folder and we want to start styling this properly, right? And then we open the header.css, and then we want to give them a color of hashtag h5 f5 f5 f5. So that color here, we are using this so that we can have because it's still compiling, so this color will be a light color instead of the black color that we are seeing right now. So while that is compiling and doing its thing, let's start with other styling things, right? So now what do we want to do is we have the header top and the bottom, right? So this header with this one should be displaying flex, and then flex direction of column, and then align items. Okay, so before we align items, let's just hold on a bit with this and let's see the direction at where everything would be going and all that. So but then let's deal with this icon, because this icon is giving me this black. I want it to be this color, right? So how I'll do that, we have a filter that we have to use, a tick. So I didn't want to close that application, but it's fine. So this thing, it's a nice code pen. So the target color that I want to give this thing is I want to give it the color, the same color as this. So this code pen is very useful. I found it myself. It handles filtering contents, not filtering contents, man. It filters, it gives you a filter, and a filter is mainly used if you wanna give color to your SVG icons and all those things, right? So we want a color, so it will compute that filter for us. And why is this thing? Okay, so why isn't this computing the filter? I promise you this works. I use it a lot. But then now this person's code pen, I don't know the person who even did this. I just saw it one day on Stack Overflow. Okay, let's just say CSS filter generator, CSS filter generator, because I think they're the same code pen, right? Okay, let's compute. Okay, as you can see, when I click that person's color, it computes well. When I put in my CSS color, maybe, I don't know why when I put my own let's just do that. Okay, let's just see this color, what's happening with this color, because that's the filter. So now let's just say class name and then we give it a logo. Yeah, let's just give it a logo, it's fine. And then we say logo, and then we want to give it that filter. Right, so that is compiling, and then I need to go to localhost, and then hopefully when I enter localhost it would have compiled. So it's a good code pen for wait until bundle finished. Okay, it's weird. Okay, so let's just continue, guys. So what I need is from the header top, right? So the header top, this is what I need from it. I want it to display me flex, and then justify content center. Okay, so I'm having that color, so that is perfect. So this filter is working, but then the difference is because this is a white background color, so that won't show. So I don't even really want to play around with this person's thing. So because it's a light gray, obviously it won't show here and here. He understands. I hope you understand the logic. So hence we get that same color that we initially wanted. So there we go, we have that displaying flex and justifying that. So now what I need to do is I need to give this thing a width of 20, say 20%, and then we'll see what that does to it. And then okay, so because I want the image to be, because we want this to be like this and that to be like that, right? So maybe justify center might not have been the appropriate one. Maybe we wanted to give it a justify content space between. We'll explore certain things and seeing how we can fix it. At the end of the day, we won't get this thing pinpoint right from the offset. We definitely will have to play around with this, right? So now here the left hand side, I want to display flex for this too, but then column for the contents, right? So on the left hand side, what I mean is, so we also want to align item center, so those contents are aligned properly. But then now for the left hand side, we want to display flex, right? And then we flex direction of column, and then once I flex direction of column, so it should be the top left, not the left, because the top left is the one that is flexing of column, because remember we want this text to be below the icons and everything, right? How that makes sense. And then let's see the result of that. So this thing is still compiling, so it should be done compiling right now. It's reloading. Let's see how our page is looking. So AlgoExpert must be from this side, and then definitely I'm sure you guys can see off the bat that the font weight of this text is changed. I might be wrong, but then I see the font weight being changed. I might be wrong, so we'll explore that. But then I see it seems that this logo is a bit too big. Let's give it a 10% width, right? So that's what I'm seeing. And then now let's come to the left top right now, right? So we wanna display flex for that, and we wanna align those items center so that they're inlined properly, and then that should do for the left hand side. So now I'm sure that is still compiling, so there's no need to go check it up. So, but then let's come to the center. So for the center, and this background image, I didn't see it working, if I'm not mistaken. Correct me if I'm wrong, but then we'll see. So for that right there, what we want to do is the top center, we want to display flex, right? and then we also want to have them aligned, so we can see align items center, so we'll have them aligned properly. And then coming to the top right, so the top right is just the only one there. So basically right now we will definitely need to see how this is looking, so that we see the way forward. So hopefully my compilation process doesn't take really that much time, and then it has compiled, right? Show you right now it's reloading, so we have that said and done. All right, so now we have that a bit of a problem there, right? So now what we want to do is, what I'm thinking, right, is we give the left container, the middle container should take up 50% of this whole space, and then this one takes 25, this one takes 25. That's what I'm thinking. Let's see how that looks. So what do I mean by this? So the left top, which is, let's see here, the top, so the left top, or the top left, should take up a width of 25%, and then I have the center taking up a width of 50%. So let's see if this ruins everything, and we'll fix whatever needs to be fixed. Let's have that a width of 25%. Why I'm doing this is I need to give space to this so that I can space them there, either by margins, either by whatever that comes into my mind. I know. So, but then also that logo still looks a bit too big for me, so I'll definitely reduce. But then hold on before I reduce that logo, because remember now we've reduced the width of its container, because now that we've reduced the width of its container, that might affect the page, right? As you can see now, it tended to be a bit small, to the small side, right? So but then now the center, we have that looking like that, right? So let's look at the center for a bit. Let's justify content space around, and then let's see how that looks, because now our driving force is the space within here, because I want them spaced up properly. And then obviously I don't want this to be here, we certainly want this to be a bit to the far right, and also giving space, and we also want this to be notched a bit to the left, to the right side, leaving it a bit of space to breathe. All right, so now we have that space from the content here, right? So we're looking decent, but then now what I'm not liking is this one here. So we can either margin this to the right, but then let's see what we can do in the best way out instead of margining this to the right. But then right here, what makes me do like this is I'm not thinking about responsive design in my mind. Responsiveness is not in my mind, even though this will be something when you're building a live project. Hence I don't like starting with desktop. I always go mobile first, then desktop, right? So now, but then just for tutorial purposes, we'll be going desktop, and then if you guys want, then after the whole build is done, because it will be a long process. So now let's see with the right, so let's margin this to the left of, let's say, 5 frames, right? Let's say 5 frames, because we certainly want this to be maybe somewhere here, giving it a bit of space. That will be great. And then while that is doing its thing, most definitely I want it out of the wall a bit, so most definitely I'll give it a padding, and we'll come to that in the soon enough, right? So how we can do this, what I'm thinking is I can margin this whole container of these things to the right, and then margin that to the left as well. So what do I mean? So I margin left the center, the whole center, with 5, or let's say 8 for the sweet spot, and then we grab also the left hand side, that is this one. We want to margin that, let's say, to the left, let's say 5 frames, right? So while that is doing its thing, I need to give this thing a class, right? So we'll go check that out, because obviously it's all compiling as now we're talking. So we'll give this thing a class, let's say nav links. Right, so those nav links, we want to give them a bit of styling. So now what do we do to those nav links? Right, so that is still compiling. So we want to give it an on hover, a cursor pointer. So we want to give that a cursor pointer, but then nav links on hover, as you saw from the AlgoExpert, we have a border bottom of 1 pixel solid. I don't know what color they're using. Let's use this one. Let's see if it will look good. There's some things I don't really have to inspect element for them, just give them any flavor that I want, and then let's see how that looks. So we have those contents looking like that, but then now this is now squished a bit to the side. They squished right. So because, like I said, okay, we're not implementing responsiveness here. Watch what I'm about to do. So what I'm about to do is, I have this nav links, right? So with this nav links, I can margin left each and every one of them just by 1 rem, right? So that will definitely give me the solution that I want by margining left of each and everything by 1 rem, and that change is still getting compiled. So but then now I don't like this being close together. We can give that a bit of spacing as well, and that bit of spacing could be a rem as well. So how do we do that? And then here we can say class name. This will be the header brand name, right? So we grab that because that is on the left top, can bring it there, and then I margin left that, and let's say 1 rem, right? So right here we're looking very ugly right here, most definitely because of those margins and everything, right? So how do you circumvent that? How do you circumvent that? Easy, I tell you. So now this top, let's just give it 15%, and that left, let's give that a 15%. So those changes are still getting compiled, so that is easy. But then here, most definitely, okay, so we have that to the side, and then this text must be pink, so we can color pick this. Hopefully I can pick that properly. So while that is still getting compiled, our changes are still getting compiled, so it's not possible picking that up. So what do we do? Inspect element, right? So there is, I promise you, 9 out of 10 people that are giving you clones, they go through the same procedures. Not inspect element, man. They go through the same procedures, looking at the contents, looking at how things are done, and this is the color that we have right here, right? So now what we do now is we give this thing a class name of subheading. Yeah, I can just give it a subheading, right? And then where's the header brand name? And then under that I'll say subheading, and then give it a color of that, right? So now we're looking good right here. We have that spacing there within our contents, we have that there, we're looking decent. And then our AlgoExpert icon is looking like that, not bad. So let's see, that color should be there right now, and right now I can now pad this thing over, right? So now we come to the header, or we can come to the header top, because of what we want to pad. I don't know if I pad on the heading, how that will affect the bottom part, but then for now let's just say padding here. Let's just give it a 1.5 rem. Hopefully that doesn't kill. So as you can see, we're looking clean. That color It's looking clean, just like AlgoExpert, guys. So now we have even this content, but then look at what AlgoExpert is doing here on the home page, or let's say, okay, so this looks like their home page. So okay, so the home page is like that one, right? So now check here. When they're at the home page, they have that thing border bottom there. So how are they doing that? This is my thought. Might not be the case. So how I can do that is I can say const home URL, and I can say window.location.href. Alright, so let's say current URL. Right, so this should be giving me the current URL that I'm at, and then because we're using TypeScript, so we can infer what we want, but then TypeScript will definitely tell that it is 3 because window.location.href is that. So now what we do with this is we come to this nav whatnot and all that, and then what we want to highlight over is this one for now, right? So what do we do to this? We now give it curly brackets, and then we use string interpolations, and then what we do is we need to add another class. So now what we expect from this thing is we say current location, current URL, is it equal to http that local host 3000 / if that is the case, what do I want to do? I want to give it a URL, say current. I want to give it a class saying current location, else I just want to give it nothing, right? So now what then do we do is we come here, take that class, we can say this. So now what we do to the nav links, right, we give that a current location, but then we want to give this a border bottom initially of that thing, right? So now if we go to our application, but then I'm sure it's still compiling. So right now we have that there, and there's a bit of spacing to the AlgoExpert and that, so we can also give that spacing. So now that is compiling, so we'll see those changes. So now I can give a margin bottom for the container, which is the left top, just a margin bottom of 0.5 rem. So let's say margin bottom, and then let's give it a 0.7 rem. Alright, so now that is still what we call things. As you can see, we have that underlinement like you see in AlgoExpert, that underlinement, right? We can see that because the current location right now we at localhost 3000, right? And I think the same applies when I go to system expert. Now that should change because the current location won't be there, so the sticker would be or the border bottom will be where that container is, not container, where that URL is. So we'll look into the other ones when we add routing and all that. So we have that margin bottom, and then let's increase a bit of size to the AlgoExpert, and the most definitely this is too small, so we'll definitely explore how we can do that without breaking our CSS or our nav links, right? So now what are we expected to do now is we wanna have some bit of size to that because that is a bit too small, and we wanna increase the icon, logo icon, whatever that is called. So now what we do is, let's say font size, let's give it a 1.5 rem, and let's give it a font weight, let's say 400. I don't know if that is the one that they're using, I don't know. That is pointless for us to even try and do that, because the main idea is just having what we want at the end of the day, right? So now what I want to do is, because I don't like that logo being that small, so what I'll do is I'll reduce the center, give it a 45, but then now the left I will most definitely give it a width of 20, because I want to give that a bit of more size, because the left hand side, the left container, is the one containing the width, and the image will be relative to the width of its container. Right, I hope that makes sense. So now that should compile my content, compiling, and then let's see those changes. So now we have this a bit bigger and that there, but then now we're breaking that. Right, so that's not a problem. So what we can do is, with the top right, we don't necessarily care that much about this, so let's just give this one back its 50%, but then now it will be taking more of the top right's content, but then I like how the size is getting bigger for that. So let's see how that affects this one. We don't really care about that face a lot. What we care about right now is this, but then noting, guys, this might not be the best solution for responsiveness. Most definitely it's not the best solution for responsiveness. Right here we're just doing what works, and we're getting what works, right? So now what then we want to do is, we want to continue with other contents, right? As you can see, we are looking good right now, right? So now what we want to do is okay, so yeah, I don't know how AlgoExpert is doing this, but then if you guys are interested in animations, what I can do for you guys for that, I don't know how AlgoExpert is using that. I don't have a solution to that, but then I have an alternative to that. So what we can do with that is, we can come to the logo and we'll give it an animation, and in that animation we'll give it a name that we'll use for animation, and then we'll say 8 seconds, and we'll go for infinity. So I like my animations to come right under my keyframe, should come right under there, so that I see what's happening, right? Just personal preference, you guys don't have to do something like that. So we'll say from, and then we'll give it a transform of rotate from 0 degrees, and then it will go to a transform, and it rotates to 360 degrees, right? So now let that compile, and that should do the job that we want, right? So now our header is looking a bit decent, and not the best responsive. Like I'm always going to say this, for responsiveness this will not be your best solution, but then if you guys want me to add that touch to responsiveness, this will definitely come at a later stage if you guys are keen. So now we have that animation. As you can see, that thing is scrolling down, so this is because I'm zooming. So I just want you guys to see that animation. Hopefully that is a bit visible. So let me just go back to my view, and you can see that is looking like that, right? So that will always be running like that until infinity, right? So now that is the header, the top part of the header. So now with AlgoExpert, we have AlgoExpert, ultimate resource to coding interviews, and by AlgoExpert. So let's add that. Let's see how we'll add that. So this is the bottom, so this is where the bottom container comes into play. All right, so we'll give it an h2 saying AlgoExpert. I will say Algo expert, and then we'll say the bottom content, right? Let's say that, And then from there, what we do, let's just copy this because I'm not gonna remember this myself, never. And then we paste that on a paragraph, give that it, and then we'll say outside that div, we give it a button, and I hate when my intelligence is not responding, man. We give it a button, and that button will say buy AlgoExpert. Right, so there's a card icon there. I don't know, I've never tried icons. Let's see if Material UI can give me an icon, and we try and see if we can replicate that. So let's say card icon, and then let's see. So I don't know, you guys will tell me. Today I'll just, let's say card icon. I should go to icons, man. So you guys will tell me how this thing goes, because I plan was to do piece by piece, but then I will see. I don't know, you guys tell me how you want me. An hour video, 45, doing a part until we get it done properly, or what? Like, how should I handle this? So it's a card, so there's no card. Okay, so this thing is not giving me a card, but then I think I can get an SVG for that. So let's say, what's that thing? Flat icon, I should remember this name, flaticon.com. So let's say credit card. Hopefully, I'm sure there should be an SVG for that. So credit card, so we have those credit cards. So this looks good. So let's get that, and then let's download that SVG, download that free, and then that should give us the SVG that we want. Right, so let's download that. So by AlgoExpert, the ultimate resource for coding interview. I should try it one day, and hopefully it is as useful as people say. I will definitely try it one day. So now we downloaded that should get downloaded. Okay, perfect. So now let's take that credit card payment to our asset folder. Let's get that going to our asset folders with that icon. We nuke that out there. We go to home, side project, AlgoExpert, client source, assets, and let's paste that there. Right, so let's just remove that because it's a long name for me to type. I'm not going to type that whole thing. So let's say card, just like that. Was not about to type that whole text. So now let's see whether any changes. Yeah, I guess no. So now what we want to import is, we want to import credit card icon. Even though it's an SVG, we'll take it as an icon. So I'll say assets, we'll say card dot SVG. So now that's what you want. So hopefully this works, guys. I've never done this in a button. This is just me trying new things. So let's say image. Hopefully this works. Say image, and then we say credit card icon. Looks like I'm not. Okay, I did get the credit card icon, and then have that text that will be by AlgoExpert. Let's see if this compiles and runs successfully. And if the text of the remove, I would have altogether, because I've never done what I have just tried to do here. Okay, so it did work. It did add that icon there, but it most definitely will reduce the width of that whole entire thing. Right, so now that is a shocker for me. So this is the first time even trying something like that, so I learned something. Right, so now what do we do? So now let's give this thing a class name. So let's say btn, by AlgoExpert. Alright, so let's give it a standard of the button. Right, so how is this AlgoExpert button looking? So at a point, I don't really see a point of me doing a button like this, but then we said we're doing a clone. Let's see what we can do. So most definitely okay, so first let's start off with this one, because I want to display flex, so we can standardize the size of this thing and see what's happening. So let's display flex. Let's see if that does work, because I don't know if that will even work. First time trying this, and it's a shocker for me that it even works. I thought I was just trying things. So even getting this warning about size. If you guys are keen to seeing about code splitting with Webpack, I can show you guys that at the end of the video, because I remember code splitting is good for performance of your React app, whatnot, and all those things. So let's just see this working, and let's just see. I'm just keen to see this display flex work. If this display flex does work, then we on a good start, to be honest. If I see that display flex working, then we're off on a good start. So that display flex is working, but then I don't know why it doesn't cater for that text. So let's wrap the text within maybe I don't know, let's say H5. Hopefully this works, guys. See, it's me trying things. I don't know if this will work, if this will even work. If this works, perfect. If this doesn't work, we'll remove this picture thing, because it's not really necessary, to be honest. It is just for flair and trying to make it really look like the AlgoExpert thing. So I can even say width and then say fit content, so that it fits the whole entire content that we have there. And then let's see if that truly works. And then if that works, we're definitely off on a good start, because I'm liking what I see currently. Not bad at all, but then it definitely needs a lot of work, especially the coding interface. This will definitely be a tough one. Right, but then let's see. Okay, so this is not really working. With the compilation done, compile that warning. So this is not working. So you guys, hopefully you guys don't kill me down there when you're watching this. If you guys don't mind me removing that card icon, unless if I try one more thing, and then I say class name, and then I give it a card dash icon. If I give that, and then in this card icon I give it a width of, let's say 10%. If this does work, then I most definitely will leave the card. And then because in SVG, I think most of the times I have to claim that as important, and then hopefully it does reduce that size, and it does keep my content or the text within bounds. But then if it doesn't, we nuke that out. It's not necessary. That was just for flair. And I learned something that you can add icons and button. I didn't know, to be honest. I don't want to lie, I didn't know. So let's just continue and see what is what and what's popping here. Okay, so we have that thing there, but then the thing is we need by AlgoExpert to be on one text. So what we can do is with the button, right, let's give it a padding, because at the end of the day we are gonna give it a padding. Let's give it a padding of 1 rem and 3 rems on the sides to give it a bit of more length. Let's see if that will do us justice, because it is a bit lengthy and it is padded inside. So let's just give that. So if we get a big, nice, good length, we can give the icon more width. Let's say maybe 20, somewhere there, I don't know. So let's just see that. So I don't know if you guys know about Webpack compiling fast. That would be a good thing to know. That would be a good thing to know. Right, so we have that a bit too large. So to be honest with you guys, unless you guys really want that icon there, for now I will nuke that out until I figure out how I can handle that properly. Let's just nuke that out. Let's just remove that. Let's just remove that. And this padding, that 1 rem is a bit too much, so that. But then the length is looking, I think, decent. It's just the height, right? And then the background color, we need to give it a color like this one. So our classic color picker, right? So let's pick that color. Let's see, we are running that blue, right? So perfect. And then what we then do is we come back here, we give it a background color of that, we give it a color already is set, and then we want to give it a border radius, let's say 3 rems, because it has a bit of edges to it. And then that should, okay, I didn't save that, so we save that as well. So now that should be great. So now I need to align this to, okay, so it's a bit inside to, as you can see, it's a bit inside to the AlgoExpert, whatnot and all that. So I can even try and handle that, like putting it a bit more to the inside, which I think padding should save my life for that. But then we'll explore and see if what works and what doesn't work. But then padding, I believe that should save my life. So yeah, so let's see once this reload is done with us, let's see how that looks. So 3 rems seemed to be a bit, so let's not use rems. Let's give it a 12 pixel for that radius. And then why am I getting this weird blue? Oh, it gave me the blue when it is on hover. That is not what I want. I think that's what happened there. So I don't want the blue, and that is purple in actual essence. So the background color is that, and I don't see a need for adding box shader for myself because I see a box shader there. Okay, that seems to be the same color if I'm not mistaken. It's not the same color. Okay, it seems to be the same color, honestly. I don't know, guys. Maybe my eyes, but then this is not the blue that I'm seeing here. I don't know. So but then what can help me is UI color picker. So sometimes we don't really need to have the exact colors of this, because at the end of the day it's a clone, it's your build. At the end of the day, this is not the real AlgoExpert. We're just doing or taking inspiration from them. But then this one looks a bit more close to their color. This one there looks a bit more to their color. Excuse me. I don't know. What do you guys think? So is this still compiling? Compiled successfully. So why am I still having because it's a bit too much. This border radius is a bit too much. Let's give it an 8 pixel. The border radius is a bit too much, as you guys can see. But then let's go for this color. I think this color should do us justice. Instead of that color, let's give it this color. And let's save. So color wise, guys, let's just freestyle, man. If you don't get the right things, it's just freestyle. There's no harm in freestyling. The main functionality, the main key thing that would impress any potential employee, I believe, is the coding environment, and that is very hectic. I believe, I might be wrong, you guys can correct me on that, but then that will be the most hectic part. You know, I should have live streamed this, but then we move. I don't know, just thought maybe you guys won't watch the live stream and all that, so I was like, nah. So the header bottom, didn't I specify it somewhere here? Okay, I haven't. So what we do is with the header bottom, right, we want to display flex direction of column, and then we don't want to align item center. That's what something that we want to do. But then I want to pad this thing over, let's say 4 rems, because I want it to be a bit more to the inside. I don't know if this will be a bit too much, but then okay, so that color, it's too bright, man. It's too bright. Looks like this bra that built this front end is using a bit more purple side ish. I think this color, or maybe it's my eyes, this is the last color, guys, bear with me. If this is not the correct one, we're gonna stick with that. So that padding over should apply, should be a bit too much, I don't know, let's see. So yeah, we don't want to build a pixel perfect clone, but then we just wanna, I just want to give you an overview, guys, of how this AlgoExpert thing might be working. I don't have the full experiences yet, because I have not really worked with this. This is me clearly doing this right in front of you. Right, look at that button, is big. Right, so now okay, so that 4M was definitely something that I don't want, but then I can margin left this, because I remember margin it 5 frames to the left of the left container, so I can margin this a bit of 10 rems. Now that should do the trick, if I'm not mistaken, when I remember the interactions, right? And okay, honestly, I'm not liking that blue, so while that is still compiling, I'm sorry, guys, let's just use a light blue vibe. Maybe let's say we use, okay, I don't want to use this blue because it will be me using the same color as the header, but then let's just use this blue. We'll stick to that. If it's not the color, it's not the color, but then that's what we're gonna stick with to have a nice color scheme, right? So now that margin is a bit to the inside, not a bit, but then it is on the inside, and I don't know why this button is still padded like that. Honestly, don't know. It's too much, like honestly it's too much padded, but then we'll revisit that and see what's happening to that, because I just margin right now, remove the padding. So let's just margin top, let's just give it a 4M. Okay, this button is extremely long, so this is what we do, right? Because I am padding this thing like that, so I can say padding of 0, and I still do want those contents there, so I can remove that. So I'm just trying to clean up this thing here, which was affected by padding the parent. but then now it looks like it stayed there, which is honestly not a problem. We can circumvent this by many solutions. So always, man, there's a solution to a problem in programming, so don't worry about that. So let's just see what happens, and we see how we can circumvent any problems that we face. So here we also want some spacing, and I believe there's a width that's made here so that we don't have things stretching over like that. That's what I'm about to do. I'll give it a width, say 70, 50, something like that. And then definitely this thing of padding is not cutting it right. So let's give it a width. Let's give it a this button. Let's give it a 50%. Let's see what happens. So while that is doing its thing, so we'll say give this the class name of bottom underscore content, and then text. Right, so that is the class name, a weird class name, but then I didn't have a correct one. Didn't have a proper one. So let's just give it a width, and then let's say width of 60%, and then let's see what we have here. Right, so I'm sure that part of the button is still compiling, and then I should have a proper looking button right now with a weird color, to be honest. So I need to change the color of that to be having the white-ish color. So we say here, we say color, and then we want to give it the F5 color so that it follows the website's color scheme that we currently have here. Right, so the button now, the width is obviously changed and it's looking not proper, but then decent than that first part. So I don't know what made this thing to have like that, because it wasn't like that. Give it a 20% width, and then obviously I want to give it a font size a bit much bigger. Let's give it a 1.2 rem, and then let's give it a font weight of, let's say, maybe 700, and to make it a bit bold. And then obviously give space to the AlgoExpert and that, and I can reduce the width of this so that it wraps around a bit, wrapping on the AlgoExpert. So I can give it a width of, say, 40, 50, I don't know, let's give it a 40. And then now this, as you guys can see into this thing, right, so now this thing is looking decent. This button is looking decent, but then a bit to the weird side. So I haven't found the correct color scheme for this button, but then we'll try and see as the video goes on what color we can use that would look good on this. So, but then I can see that they're having the button on hover effect. We can add that as well. So now we can say copy just this, duplicate that, make that there, and then remove all those contents, and then we say hover, and then it seems to be having a purple-ish, so let's come to UI color picker, and then we'll get that purple thing. It has a transition, I believe it was smooth in transition, or maybe it just changes quickly. I will add a transition just like that. So we don't have to be pixel perfect or 100% perfect to them. We add our own flavor. This is our project. This is not anyone, this is for us. So I want to give it a background, not attachment, but then background color of that. And then we want to add a transition, not a transform, a transition of ease in out of 0.4 seconds, and then that should do. All right, and then now here we want to add, this is the bottom header, it's a class name, this is the bottom header. All right, you save that. I want to give it a margin bottom, like that. So I come here and then I give it a margin to the bottom side of say 1.2 rem, and then the text I want to also give it a margin button because that's where the button is below, also 1.2 rem. And then we should be looking a bit distant, not distance man, a bit decent with regards to the text, giving it a breathing space. And then the button, let's give it a cursor of pointer to show that it's clickable. What am I saying? Cancer. A cursor of pointer, and that should look great on us. And also the AlgoExpert thing should have the logo, not the logo man, the brand name should have a pointer as well. That should be looking like that. We're still compiling other changes, and then let's see how we are looking. All right, so I don't know if you guys would be keen for pick it up on the next video. We build this portion, so I don't know what is the we don't do this here, which is this is for educational purposes. To building this clone, we have that hover effect with that smooth transition, and then yeah, we have the header looking a bit why am I saying distant, man? We're looking a bit decent. We have that animation, so I couldn't make this thing of theirs. I don't know how they make this thing, to understand now. So now this is our header. So I could go more to doing this, but then I just want to keep it like this video short. But then if you guys are keen to like making me like a bit more longer videos, comment down below and I will definitely see to do that for you guys. And I'll be keen to now making this other part of the home page. And if Clement is keen to give me this asset, then we can add that to here. We can also give this assets here and add that. So you guys should go to his channel and just comment down to his channel to give you this assets, and then I'll be keen to adding these assets for you guys. But then currently we don't have this assets, right? So yeah, so please like, share and subscribe, and comment down below to tell me about if you guys want me to make longer videos or making longer functionalities or making longer things. So currently we have this. Remember, this is not for responsiveness. We're only going to focus on making it good for desktop. But if you guys want responsiveness, comment down below. Let's get this video to 20 likes, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.